Day 11 of training camp is in the books for the New Orleans Saints. What's the latest on the quarterback battle with Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, and Jay Kainer? Which players are rising up the depth chart as we get close to the preseason opener on Sunday against the Chargers? We'll talk about all that right here on the Straight Up Saints podcast.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What is up, Who Dat Nation? Welcome inside another edition of the Straight Up Saints podcast. I'm your host, Chris Rosevoglu, and as always, the Straight Up Saints podcast is brought to you by Scott Kainer Injury Lawyers. If you've been injured in any kind of accident, car, truck, 18-wheeler, hurt offshore, Scott Kainer handles it all. Give him a call at 504-500-1111 for a free consultation. They'll always fight for the win. The Saints are getting close to that preseason opener, and unlike years past, this is probably the most excited us Saints fans have been for the preseason for a plethora of reasons. We're excited to see Kellen Moore's new offense, albeit they'll probably scale it back in terms of what they're running in the play call sheet. We get to see the quarterbacks out there and battle against an actual opponent that's not the same defense they've been facing for the last 2 weeks at training camp. You get to see some of these young guys, see who's going to rise up the depth chart or maybe just end up not meeting our expectations. So it's going to be a fun time for us Saints fans, and I would argue that the preseason is where we're really going to get into those positional battles that have to be decided. And there's a plethora of them to get to. And I mean, maybe I'll talk about them in a little bit. I think there's a couple that come to mind that I'm excited to see. But let's talk about day 11 of training camp. The Saints have off this Wednesday coming up. I'm losing track of my days here. And then they got to get ready to fly out west, and they'll stay out there for a little bit. And I think it'll be from a team bonding standpoint, the Saints have done a great job this offseason. This is just another opportunity for them to build that camaraderie in the locker room as they head out west. So let's talk about day 11. Spencer Rattler starts off as QB1 today. Why is that notable? Back-to-back days as QB1. The first time that any quarterback in training camp actually for the Saints this year has had back-to-back days as QB1. Now, Kellen Moore said he's not ready to say who will start on Sunday against the Chargers. He said the quarterback decision has not been made. And obviously that also means the quarterback decision has not been made for the week 1 game that they have against the Cardinals. Obviously that is a little bit over a month away until that happens. So the Saints have time there. But for Spencer Rattler to get QB1 snaps back-to-back days and to start off as QB1, I think that's notable. I think that it once again kind of confirms that thought that he is the leader in the clubhouse. As of now, obviously things can change. Things can change for Spencer Rattler. But as of today, he is still the leader. And I think that for him, it's all about can you tighten that grip and get closer and closer and closer to solidifying your spot as the starter. Now, again, kind of a transition practice, as Kellen Moore called it today. This was not the practice for a quarterback to leapfrog another, but that's good news for Spencer. Spencer's been in the lead. So Spencer Rattler with the ones. If I had to guess, again, this is just me guessing. This is not confirmed. Kellen Moore would not confirm it today when asked by reporters. My guess is Spencer Rattler will start the preseason opener. And look, Rattler has experience playing in the preseason last year where he beat out Jay Kainer. And obviously he's got 6 regular season starts under his belt. In the preseason, going up against a Chargers team that they might not play everyone. Now, they might play some guys relative to the Hall of Fame game they had. But Rattler's got a golden opportunity here for this preseason game with that experience that he has at the NFL level to go out there and play really well. And like I said, continue to tighten that grip on that QB1 job that he is going after and right now is the leader in the clubhouse for. So great opportunity there for Rattler. But let's talk about Shuck. Shuck, man, it's one of those situations where it's 1 step forward, 2 step back. So today actually does end up getting QB1 reps towards the end of practice. First pass is almost intercepted. The second pass not intercepted. The third pass, though, is intercepted. And I know everyone's going to freak out over that. I've said it many times again. Training camp is where you should be making your mistakes. And in my opinion, I'm not exactly going to freak out about an interception from Shuck. I'm really not. It's way too early for people to do that. But I think for Shuck, it is a tough moment because you get those reps, you get that opportunity to maybe show what you can do with that first team offense, and you just don't really get to do it. Now, again, like I said earlier, and I do think this is important, Kellen Moore called this a transition practice. He said you're making that adjustment from going from a full-fledged scrimmage of 126 snaps to scaling it back. So there is that kind of sluggishness to getting back into the thick of things. So this was not the practice that anyone was going to leapfrog someone else. And for Shuck, I don't know if that opportunity presented itself. But again, when you come out there and you start a little slow with the first team offense, and early pass breakup on that first throw and then a pick 2 throws later. Obviously, it's not great for Shuck. But similar to what I've been preaching, and I'll continue to say it. And again, I am usually an irrational human being, so I'm trying to be rational here. The preseason is what's going to matter. If Shuck goes out there in the preseason, he struggles, the QB1 race will probably be over because I think Rattler has the lead right now by a pretty decent margin. But we want to see how he plays in those games because Shuck might go out there, ball out against the Chargers, and then things really heat up going into that second preseason game. So we'll see what happens. We're going to play it by ear as Saints fans should, and we'll go from there. Now, Jay Kainer, interesting one here. Wasn't QB1, wasn't QB2, did get a couple of reps obviously during practice, but it felt like today, and again, this could be because it was that transition practice, it could have been the moment where the Saints kind of phase him out of that rotation of guys getting QB1 reps. I think that's notable. I think it's worth adding. I am not going to act like Kellen Moore doesn't know what he's doing because Kellen Moore is a damn smart person, way smarter than my stupid ass. But I thought, last week, and I think I talked about this maybe over the weekend. I can't remember when I did, but we had the podcast out of here on Bucher Media. I said, at some point, you may have to shorten the rotation just to let these two quarterbacks get into a rhythm because it's really hard, right? If I'm Spencer Rattler and I'm really good on a Thursday and now I don't get to see reps till Sunday or Monday, that's kind of tough. Same thing goes for Shuck, right? So, Jay Kainer, could he still fight his way back? Absolutely. Similar to Rattler, he's got NFL experience. So maybe in the preseason, who knows? Maybe he looks sharper than Tyler Shuck. We'll see what happens. But for today, it's something to keep an eye on, right? Did the rotation shrink to two quarterbacks? Only time's going to tell. But I think that was fascinating to put down there. So let's start going with the guys that are trending up. Actually, before I do that, because I want to finish on trending up, I want to finish on a positive note. I've been trying to keep the vibes relatively positive this training camp. Let's talk about quick injuries. Devin Neal, the rookie from Kansas, he is out for a couple of weeks. Not ideal if you're Devin Neal. Not ideal at all because the last thing you want is to fall behind everyone else on the depth chart. It's a hamstring injury. Like I said, they said a couple of weeks. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Hamstring injuries can really linger. One wrong move, and all of a sudden you're back on the shelf for about 2, 3, 4 more weeks. So all I hope right now is that Devin Neal obviously heals up and gets himself in a position where he can compete on this roster. Now, Kellen Moore didn't seem, I don't want to say sad, but Kellen Moore did seem very optimistic about the rest of the running back room being able to step up. Really, really great opportunity here for Kendra Miller. And not to show that he can play. We know Kendra Miller can play. Can you stay healthy for the rest of this preseason and go into week 1 feeling like you are the definitive backup behind Alvin Kamara? That's the question. So we'll see what happens there for Kendra Miller. But with Devin Neal out, that's one less guy in the running back room. I think what this really affects are the other guys in there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cam Akers, Marcus Yarns. So for me, those are the guys where with Devin Neal out, now you have a little bit more of a window to make a name for yourself. So for me, those are the players that might benefit the most. I think Kendra Miller is in a battle with his health and his health only. Everyone else from that Devin Neal injury, golden opportunity now, and we'll see which ones step up. And look, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Cam Akers, those are the two guys that are fascinating me because really high draft picks. Obviously, they've taken so many snaps in the NFL. Can they just show that there's still gas left in the tank? And if so, maybe you do add them to the roster because you know what they bring on every Sunday. So we'll see what happens. But Devin Neal injury out for at least a couple of weeks. Juwan Johnson day-to-day. So my guess is we don't see him play on Sunday. And frankly, I would not even think about playing him because why the hell would you want to risk your only legitimate tight end right now to injury when injuries have already ravaged that position group? So got through the injury stuff. Let's talk one more thing. It's Alvin Kamara. He will not play in the first preseason game. Same probably goes for others. I don't think we need to see Alvin until, let's see. Let's call it September 7th, the season opener. I don't need to see Alvin until then, personally. I love Alvin. I love watching him play football, but we do not need to see that man play football till September 7th. We know he's about his business and he always shows up. So something there. Eric McCoy might not play. Some other guys we'll figure out. So let's get into what we kind of been doing for the last 2 weeks, wrapping it up with guys that are trending up for the New Orleans Saints. Will Clapp. Will Clapp what? No, Will Clapp really is actually, I would say he's got a great opportunity here this Sunday against the Chargers. got some first team reps today at practice, which is always a good sign. I think that's an indication that he's also going to get to play a lot against his former team in the Chargers on Sunday. And if you're Will Clapp, you go out there, you want to show that you can be the backup to Eric McCoy. And if you can do that, that's going to earn you a spot on the 53-man roster. So excellent opportunity. And similar to guys like Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Cam Akers, Will Clapp has a ton of NFL experience. So like this should be an opportunity where I don't want to call it a walk in the park, but there should be no surprises on Sunday when you go up against the Chargers, who, by the way, pretty good defense, obviously, what they got going on with Jim Harbaugh there. And can you kind of, against the second stringers, kind of flex on him and earn a spot on the roster? So arrows pointing up for him, especially after today with getting first team reps. I think the Saints kind of showed it. He'll probably play the majority, if not all of the game for the New Orleans Saints. Jordan Howden, welcome to the rotation here of guys trending up. Really, really good practice for him. So he had first team reps today when Justin Reed was sitting, because at this point, Justin Reed could also be put on ice. He's a damn good football player, and Saints have loved what he's brought to the table on and off the field. Jordan Howden filled in at safety alongside Julian Blackmon, which, by the way, Saints safety room, really, really underrated. Really underrated right now. Justin Reed is a hell of a playmaker. I love that they brought in Julian Blackmon. I've been praising that move since they signed him 2 weeks ago, and I will continue to praise it until proven otherwise. Jordan Howden really stepped up today, and we're not even talking about Jonas Sanker, who we mentioned a couple practices ago about him making a name for himself. Saints got 4 safeties that I really like, and unlike years past, this is a young safety room, a really, really young safety room. So, man, I'm really excited. I know everyone loves quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, all the skill position guys. Safeties, for some reason, excite the hell out of me. I just feel like they can make those game-changing plays that get you out of your seat when you're watching the game. So, Jordan Howden, great practice. Filled in with the ones, had a clutch pass to break up against Tyler Shuck, had that interception on Tyler Shuck. So in a 3-play span, he played some of the best football of his summer so far. So shout out to Jordan Howden. And now you go into the preseason. You are healthy. You have a ton of reps under your belt. Let's see if he can make some plays and solidify his spot as that next man up, when you move on from Reed and Blackmon in terms of if one goes down this year or if you want to play 3 safeties, who's that third man in the rotation? Great opportunity for Jordan Howden here. So shout out to him. He's been great so far this training camp. And then I'm going to add one more guy who it comes down to a multitude of things of why he's on this list. And he's been on here before for trending up. Quincy Riley, the rookie corner from Louisville. First team reps today. I think the Saints are kind of showing you and telling you we like this kid. He really has played extremely well. Excellent camp. Just got first team reps today. That is a huge confidence boost for this guy. And the third thing is the position he's at. I've talked about this, talking about it with Jordy Holberg yesterday. Kool-Aid McKinstry came into camp. He's been phenomenal. He has been exactly what the Saints wanted him to be for that year 2 leap that he needs to make. Alontae Taylor, obviously, we know is a playmaker. Outside of that, who is the guy in that Saints secondary that you genuinely feel like, man, I know what I'm going to get from that cornerback spot, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I think Ugo Amadi is a solid guy, a solid nickel. He can do his work there. Don't get me wrong about that. Rico Payton, excellent in the preseason last year. Excellent. There's no doubt. But, man, Quincy Riley seems like he can be that guy that when we talk about Rico Payton, we talk about Isaac Yiadom, we talk about Ugo Amadi, they're good, but he can push them. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes out there and ends up winning a starting job. So, the arrow just keeps pointing up for him. He keeps making plays. He keeps impressing the coaching staff. And now you go into the preseason where there is a chance that he gets some starting reps. And I can't wait to see what he does. So shout out to Quincy Riley. I mean, he's been on this list like 3 fucking times already. And I feel bad repeating myself. But you know what? He deserves it. He deserves it. So those are trending up for today. Quincy Riley, Jordan Howden, Will Clapp. I think those are guys that definitely deserve a lot of credit. And more importantly, they're going into Sunday's preseason game that they are really, really feeling good about where they stand. So before I wrap it up, I know I usually say that I wrap it up with trending up. I just want to mention a couple of positional battles that I think are going to be worth watching as the preseason goes on. And I'll continue to update it as we get closer. So quarterback is a no-brainer, right? Rattler, Shuck, Kainer, we get that. Running back, can Kendra Miller solidify himself as running back 2? I think that is worth watching, but who would be behind him? Because I think Kendra is going to be the RB2. Who will be RB3? With Devin Neal out, opportunity is there for other guys. Wide receiver 4. I think Cooks is your unquestioned 3. Who is 4? Is it Bub Means? Is it Mason Tipton? Is it Dante Pettis? Is it Kevin Austin? We'll see what happens. Bub Memes have been kind of quiet, though. So my money right now is on Mason Tipton. And we'll see what happens with that. Moving over to the defense. I mean, I mentioned the cornerback room. Quincy Riley is going to be gunning for that number 3 spot, and he might just get it. Linebacker, who's going to be that immediate guy behind DeMario and Pete Werner? Nephi Sewell's had a really good camp. Danny Stutzman's had a really good camp. Preseason games are going to be the separator for guys like that. And then defensive end. I'm just going to throw this out there from now. I know that he is a former second-round pick. I think this is the year Isaiah Foskey finally gets the hell out of here, and there will be guys that outplay him, and maybe he gets pushed to the curb. Wouldn't be surprised. I feel like that's where we're going. And technically, there's a kicker battle, but I think Blake Grupe's kind of solidified it. So that's everything for today, guys. I know I sound like I've been like the Energizer Bunny today, so I apologize if it was a little too peppy. But yeah, like this is kind of it. As we get closer to that preseason, the Saints are moving out west. They're going to play the Chargers, and we'll go from there. We'll go from there to see how these position battles shape up and how these young guys play for the Saints. But I'm really excited for it, and I'm sure you guys are. So without further ado, guys, if you have any thoughts on who's playing well at training camp, who you're really disappointed in, put it in the comment section below. Which players are you most excited to watch on Sunday against the Chargers? Let us know in the comment section. I'll get back to you guys as soon as I see your thoughts there. But I think it's going to be really fun to see how this plays out. So regardless, as always, we'll have you covered here at the Straight Up Saints podcast. And actually, guys, make sure to subscribe to Boo Media because we do have a preseason game coming up Sunday. We'll have a show right after. We'll talk about what's going on. Maybe we'll have a show during. We'll figure all that out. But the only way you find out immediately is subscribing to Boo Media and hitting the notification bell so you can hear more from the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for the Who Dat Nation.